Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to my channel, The Main Ingredient. It's your girl, Judy. I am sitting here and I had a thought that was provoked by a conversation that I feel like I need to share with you all. And this conversation was prompted. I mean, this woman, we having a conversation, and unfortunately, on her way, she was on her way to a funeral and everything like that. Talking about a childhood friend, this, that, and everything else. And then we got on a conversation about Mother's Day. She asked me, "Oh, how's your Mother's Day? This and that." You know, got the yik yakking about Mother's Day, exchanging Happy Mother's Day to one another. She too is a mom, and she was talking about how she was divorced. And I said, "Oh, me too. It's been a while now." She was like, "Oh, okay." And it got into the conversation had got into a space where she was like, "Oh, what happened?" I was just like, I wasn't his type. We got married young, and truth be told, I wasn't even ready to be married. But I did want to be married because I come from a two-parent household. So that's what I saw. That's what I believe is normal. And why wouldn't somebody like myself want what looked like a stable environment for a child or children to grow up in, having a two-parent household? And she was just like, "Oh, you guys couldn't work it out." And I was like, "No." I said, "But that's okay. Sometimes when people leave, their absence is a blessing, right?" And it struck a nerve. I had to shift a little bit, and I had to get myself together because she was perplexed. She had a because, even though her situation with her ex-husband didn't work out, as just, as far as them continuing in marriage, he's still in her children's life, which is absolutely wonderful. That's not the case for me, though. I divorced my husband years ago, and he is no longer a part of mine or my children's life, and that is for the best. Sometimes the best thing you can gift your children is a stable home without an unhealthy and or toxic parent, because their presence would do more harm than good. Was there a time where I let some time go by, and I felt like, okay, maybe after some time goes by, it'll be safe to integrate him into my children's life? That blew up in my face very fast. I did that on 2 occasions, 2 years after I left him, and my kids were left emotionally challenged. And guess what? I had to work through that with them as well. And that's cool. And I did it against my better judgment, but I knew they needed to see something. I had already articulated to them at the time when they were younger so that they could understand, the dynamic is not a healthy one. If your, I don't even want to say father, because just because you spread a seed, that don't make you a father. Just like a woman, a female who birthed a child, that don't make you a mother. That makes you a female who is able to birth a child. A man who is able to spread his seed, that don't make you a father. Baby, it's it's bigger than that. It's bigger than the act that brings children here. It's what you do afterwards that make you a mother and or father. So I had explained to them at their age the best way I could why he couldn't be a part of their life, because he wasn't healthy, because of the things that um, he was doing that was not only harmful and disrespectful to me, But if I'm not in a healthy space mentally, then how can I do and be what you need mommy to be for you properly? They couldn't understand that. Father's Day is rolling around, and when you don't, in the kids' eyes, when you don't have something, everybody else has it. I don't care if, you know, that is the case or not. It's just like, oh, they all wearing Jordans. I don't have Jordans. I want some Jordans. I want some Jordans. That type of thing. So Father's Day is rolled around this particular year, and everybody else got a, father but me. And I'm just like, you don't know the dynamic. Just because your presence is seen doesn't mean your presence is felt. Nevertheless, my young ones especially, they was harping, they were crying, mommy, find him, I want to see him. I did it. Did it on 2 separate occasions, and in those 2 occasions, unfortunately, they were able to see and come to their own conclusion. Okay, mommy, this isn't good. I don't like to feel this way. Why does it have to be this way? Why did he say this and do something? You know what I'm saying? So we going through those motions. And I ain't did it ever since. And I'm not going to ever do it again. So I say that to say, sometimes the blessing is in that person's absence. Because if your presence brings more harm than good, if you're not a healthy, productive, and active participant in your child's life, whether that be the young lady that's supposed to be a mother and or the young man that's supposed to be the father, if your presence is doing more damage spiritually, mentally, physically, emotionally than your absence, then deuces. Do what you doing where you at and stay where you at. Because what we're not going to do here in this household of mine that I'm bringing up, we're not passing down no drama. We're not passing down no trauma. We're not passing down poor mindsets. We're not passing down mental abuse, spiritual abuse, no abuse at all. We're not passing down enabling behaviors. We're not passing down inability to take accountability and to apologize when you're wrong. We're not passing down dysfunction in my household. So that's why it's bigger than, oh, we didn't work out. I'm cool that we didn't work out. I'm not that person's type. We grew apart. They are no longer my type. And that's fine. That's not where the problem is. The problem lies when you have a foundation that is not solid, where you are trying to instill morals and principles and standards in your child, and then, the other party is trying to dismantle that and say that that's wrong and you're wrong. That's that. A house divided can't stand. And that's the message. A house divided can't stand. And sometimes a person's a said parents or supposed to be parents' absence is the blessing. Because if your presence is causing more harm than good, then what? That's selfish. That's selfish. We don't do selfishness over here. So for anybody that may be struggling with making decisions in that space, look, nobody has to understand it. Nobody has to agree with it, especially if they're not contributing and or aiding to the betterment of your household, whether that be encouraging you and or encouraging your child or children in a difficult space that can leave the family in if divorce is being mentioned, or it's had, or separation, wherever you are. If you haven't made that decision, you need to make the decision that's best for you and your home, and you guys' this foundation, and don't let other voices dictate what goes on in your house, because those same voices, are they putting meals together concerning you and your household? Are they keeping your lights on? Is they keeping that rent and or mortgage paid? And again, it doesn't even have to be monetary. How are they pouring into you during this time, other than not lending an ear and really listening and kind of projecting, their own situation and or thought process because of some of the things that they were told and how they were raised? You got to do what's best for you. You got to do what's best for your children. Somebody got to try to keep these children protected and covered. So if the other parent can't contribute to the overall health of your child and or children, bye, and don't look back. And what has helped me in that space is just praying and crying and praying. But you keep going. You can't stop, because they watching you. Your children are leaning on you. They need you to be the example. So be that. What's the main ingredient in this, in this message? What is the missing thing? What's missing in keeping the peace in your heart and in your household concerning tough decisions about, the parent of your child or children? What is the missing piece? You have to figure that out, and you have to go forth with making the best decision that supports the overall health of the child and or the children, and yourself as well. Don't forget about yourself, because you're the one that you have to be in a healthy mental space in order to take on the continuing things that are going to happen in your child's development as well as yours, right? So if that parent absence brings peace, stay peaceful, stay blessed, stay encouraged. Do what you have to do to preserve your peace, to preserve the productivity and the nurturing spirit that is going to be needed to water these children so that they can have better than us. Understand that having better for your child is not always something tangible. Man, we ain't grow up with a TV in our room until we was about 5th, 6th grade. My baby got a TV in kindergarten in their room. You know what I'm saying? We couldn't afford no gaming system until I had to work. When I was in high school, my baby gonna have a gaming like, that's nice. Or even shoes, and we couldn't even wear name brand shoes till we started working for ourselves. Parents, whether 2-parent household or not, parents couldn't afford them kind of things. So that's nice. My baby gonna have nice shoes as soon as they toe tap the ground. Like, that's nice. But what's even better than that is making sure, if you grew up in a dysfunctional household, make sure your children don't have to live in a dysfunctional household. That part. If you grew up in a family where people didn't take accountability, people didn't apologize, make sure you raise your child or your children that when they offend somebody, like if they offend their sibling, or if you're having a conversation with your child and you feel like your child is being disrespectful, you lovingly correct them and you teach them how to apologize, not only with their words, but then their actions. Because what you talking about don't mean nothing. It's what you do afterwards. Because it's a lot of it's a lot of people out here who claim they sorry, but your actions say otherwise. Don't be a sorry MFer, okay? Don't be a sorry somebody all your life. Teach your children how to say sorry and then change the behavior afterwards. Make your child accountable. That's what you pass down. Pass down a loving environment. If you grew up in an environment that wasn't loving, people didn't know how to show love, well then you make sure with your child or your children, you show love. You show what love look like. You show what love feel like. You make sure your child or your children know what it is to be loved, what it feel like to be loved. If you came from a household and people didn't hug and all that stuff, you make sure you just hug up on your babies. Hug your child. Hug your children. Don't allow something in life to happen where you have to say, I ain't even hugged my baby today. Because you was fussing them out the door to get to school this morning, right? We do it. I've done it. I had to check myself. So giving your child stuff that you didn't have when you was a child, it's bigger than some Jordans. It's bigger than the game system, okay? It's bigger than, we got to get past we have to get past the tangible things, because that's fun, but that stuff fades. You got to think about character building things. We got to think about morals. We got to think about standards. We got to think about the things that matter other than the way your shoe, the brand name on your shoe. We kind of bad at that. But we're getting better. Because when you know better, you do better, right? Let's make sure we are planting seeds in our children in ways that we weren't planted and watered in. That's how you create a stable and a loving household environment. Sometimes, for whatever reason, it may not be able to happen with two parents, the two people that contributed to the child's life. It may have to happen with that mother and or that father. There are some men out here doing what they're supposed to do by themselves. So let's make sure they get their kudos too. Okay? Sometimes it have to happen with that one parent. And then when God allows, if God allows, you know, it might have to happen with the step parent, the step mama, or the stepdaddy, the one that step in and do the things that the other one, for whatever reason, couldn't do. They weren't equipped to show up in that way. Okay? So that's it. That's the message. Y'all be blessed out here. I'm finna eat my Chipotle because she like to eat. I'll see y'all in the next upload. Be blessed.